This is 1 in 44, a presentation of Anderson Center for Autism. 1 in 44 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And today I am speaking with Rob Brown from Oldies 98.9 and Sunrise Media. Is that correct, Rob?
That is correct, Eliza, right? As well as our two other radio stations, Energy 103 and Country 94.5.
Awesome. So Rob, you and I have known each other now going back quite a number of years. I've been working the foundation here at Anderson for probably about 11 years now. And one of the things that I got to do in the very beginning was work with kind of enhancing and building up our media presence. And I developed a fondness for radio, you could say. I remember our very first meeting.
Do I. And it didn't start off well.
It was at a Starbucks.
We were supposed... You were partnering to a certain degree with an ad agency at the time.
Yes.
And one of who's become a good friend, may I say her name?
Sure.
Brianne Ratke.
Yeah, I love Brianne.
And everybody loves Brianne. And she met Bob DeFelice, who was our market manager at the time. And we met her at Anderson Center for Autism. We were supposed to meet you. And Brianne wasn't feeling that well that day. And there was some confusion with the scheduled meeting. So we ended up meeting you at the Starbucks across the street from Marist College.
Yes, I remember.
And it was like, it wasn't a good beginning. You know, if you're thinking about a meeting, it's like, oh my God, this relationship isn't starting off good.
No, but I do remember there was confusion, but I also remember one of my first memories of that meeting was that I just couldn't believe how kind and professional and like polished you and Bob were. And because at the time I'd been meeting with a lot of radio reps and many of whom we did go on to do business with, but I walked out of that meeting knowing absolutely 100% that we were going to do something together. I think what none of us knew was how well it was going to go and how long the relationship would last. But I'm thrilled to have you on the show today. What we're highlighting specifically today is the incredibly generous media sponsorship that Oldies 98.9, one of your stations, has provided this year at our 2022 Golf Classic, but also has been providing for many years. You've sponsored that event. And so we're going to get into some of the nitty gritty on that sponsorship, but I just wanted to start by thanking you and your whole team for coming through every year. It's an incredible partnership and we really enjoy it.
Eliza, thank you so much for the kind words. We felt exactly the same way after our first meeting when we were leaving. And I think how committed we are to the work you guys do at Anderson Center for Autism. And, the campus and the people that you have working there and the kids, it just blows me away. And it makes me feel good about myself anytime I have the opportunity to visit.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I appreciate you saying that. And I think that actually is something that I feel working here. It really goes hand in hand with our mission, which is to optimize the quality of life for people with autism, which you help us do. But when I talk about that mission, I often bring it full circle because I think that when you're engaged in that kind of work, where you're actually trying to positively impact an individual person and a group of people's quality of life, which is different for every person, you can't help but feel good and then that's positively impacting your quality of life. So we know it's working when the people who are working with us to achieve that mission for the people we serve and their families are also feeling really good about that work. So we love that, and that's what big reason why the partnership continues, because you guys come back every year with new ideas and great opportunities for Anderson to get the word out about what we're doing, and then we get to do so much of it with you. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things, if I could segue just for a moment, then we'll come back to the golf outing. That's super, fun at the annual Anderson Center golf outings is to meet some of the families of students, as well as some of the people that work kind of behind the scenes for you guys at Anderson Center. when they're doing their demonstrations and things like that at the different holes throughout the course. It's just, it's fascinating. It's educational. The family members are just off the hook.
That's great to hear. That we have a lot.
I remember some of them. I remember some of them from year to year. There's a couple from Long Island that's always at the ninth hole. Okay, maybe it's because they're doing a wine tasting that they.
It might be. I think you might be referring to our friend Barbara, who often has done a wine tasting. I think in conjunction with Millbrook Wines, and with the Anderson labels on them. But I will echo your sentiments. The Anderson families are a group of wonderful, amazing, dedicated parents and siblings. We have a tremendously engaged, involved group of siblings now that's growing. As they grow up, they're having more and more of an impact and getting more engaged, which is great to see. They're also a force to be reckoned with. Let me just tell you, we have a growing, impactful advocacy committee made up of Anderson families, and that awesome. Goes to Albany. That group has, over the years, even gone down to Washington, D.C. at times to advocate for another group of people that I know you have tremendous respect for, which are our direct support professionals, the people who are working every day with the people in our care. And to so much of a degree, when you're providing sponsorships for Anderson events, those are the people that you're really supporting, as well as the people that we're serving. It's the people who are coming to work every day, putting themselves at risk, doing a tremendously challenging job, struggling to be paid, a living wage because of the way that the funding is structured, not because Anderson doesn't want to, but I always want our DSPs and all of our team members at Anderson to just have the chance to hear from the people like yourself and the business owners who come out and sponsor us, because they're benefiting from your generosity. So is there anything any message you would want to share specifically with the Anderson team members and those direct support professionals?
Eliza, one of the things you mentioned, the siblings, and one of the things that always impresses me when I see the Anderson Center Facebook posts, and numerous times there have been siblings that have done like awesome fundraising events, totally on their own, independently.
Yeah.
Young kids like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. It just, it makes you feel good, about society and people. And as far as your staff, it's just, when I think of the skill, the patience, the dedication that it takes to do what they do, it's physically demanding in many cases. I've been privileged enough on at least a couple of occasions to have toured your school. And I've seen the classrooms, and I've been in the hallways, and I've been in the auditorium and the different, do you call them cottages?
They're residences, yeah.
Residences and the pool. First of all, your facilities, it's just, right on the Hudson River in Statsburg. Like I could move there in a minute.
We'll set up a room for you, Rob.
Yeah. But it's just, I'm just real quick. How did you come to get that property again? I remember it was an interesting
story. We've been, Anderson School, which is our former name, was on this property probably sometime in the 20s. I don't have the exact date. I know Anderson School was founded by Dr. Victor V. Anderson in 1924. So we're coming up very close to our 100th year anniversary. However, it was originally located possibly in New Jersey, somewhere not too far away, but it wasn't on this main campus. So it was some years after that we, Dr. Anderson and his family bought this property, which is over 100 acres. And you're right, it's between the Hudson River and Route 9 up in Statsburg. Beautiful location. I was actually just on a walk enjoying today's not so incredibly hot day. And it's stunning. On a day like today, when the sun is shining, there's so many trees here. It's a really beautiful natural setting. It's all fenced for safety reasons, but you really don't feel that at all when you're here. Beautiful views of the Hudson. And that is where 124 students between the age of about 7 and 21 live with us in our residences and go to school here and play in the pool and learn a tremendous amount of so many different things and become more independent as they grow up. And then 14 day students from the area come here for school. during the day. So that's a snippet of the history of Anderson. And then we have 25 group homes for adults throughout Orange, Ulster, and Dutchess counties. So we're around.
I see your groups of students on field trips out and about.
Yeah.
I bump into them. What's ironic? I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but believe it or not, our first radio station, WGNY AM, came on the air, I believe it was 1935.
Wow.
It was like one of the first radio stations in the Hudson Valley.
That's so cool.
I mean, when you think that, when and it's, very geographically appropriate where Anderson Center is located, when you think that, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was doing his fireside chats on one of our radio stations, back during the Great Depression and World War II.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's very cool and interesting. And we're going to take a quick break after this little point. But since you mentioned Roosevelt, I will counter your Roosevelt with my Roosevelt and say that Eleanor Roosevelt was a commencement speaker at Anderson 1 year for graduation. And we have in our archives, we have the program from that graduation ceremony where she was our commencement speaker.
Oh, I would love to see that. First of all, I'm a huge fan. I think she was awesome.
Yeah.
Ahead of her time.
Oh, yeah. And people with special needs was one of her, an issue that she definitely advocated on behalf of people with special needs. And at the time, we weren't serving the population that we serve now, but we've always served children struggling with some type of challenge, whether it's a learning disability or a psychiatric diagnosis or something. And now, obviously, autism. But there's no end to some of the historical little nuggets you can find, especially in this area of the Hudson Valley.
Totally.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to get into a little bit more of your background and the stations and what they have to offer the community and just your thoughts on Anderson's golf outing, which you've sponsored so generously for so many years. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky. We'll be right back.
Hey, Joe, I thought you were retired.
Living on a fixed income is tough. So here I am, an essential worker.
I know. I mean, food prices are going up every day. Thank goodness for benefitscheckup.org.
Benefits what?
Benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
And now, 1 in 44 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking with Rob Brown from Sunrise Media, and thanking you, Rob, and everyone at the Sunrise team and Oldies 98.9 for sponsoring Anderson's 2022 Golf Classic, which you've sponsored for many years. We just told a little story about how we met and how long we've been working together. I don't even know if you know the news yet, but this year's golf outing was a record breaker. The event brought in over $100,000 to the foundation for Anderson.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's completely awesome.
That's a nice round number.
It is a nice round number. I love round numbers.
Yeah.
Lots of zeros.
Especially with a lot of round zeros after.
Yes, exactly. The revenue from that event really has grown over the years. My team does a great job executing the logistics of the event. The links at Unionvale. Now you play, and kudos to you for playing because I could not be around. Tell us about the links, because we've been doing the event there for several years. Everybody seems to love it. I love the people there. I think they're great. What do you think as somebody who's played several times?
Well, the links at Unionvale, the course and the facilities themselves are probably the premier golf facility in the Hudson Valley. I've played a lot of them, and I go to a number of outings, over the years. I've been to a number of outings, and the facilities at the links at Unionvale, the course, the condition the course is kept in, the facilities themselves, as far as the restaurants and the bars, and right down to the restrooms. I mean, it's just everything is spotless, everything is immaculate. The staff there is great, and as far as an outing goes, I know I've told you this from the first one. I think we partnered on, maybe at this point, you lose track with the COVID era, but probably like 5-6 years ago.
Probably, yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, it was your first one at the Links at Unionville, I think.
It probably was. That sounds about right.
Yeah. And I love the course. It's a tough course. It's a link styled course. I don't know if you know the history behind the course.
I do not.
It was a farm, for hundreds of years. It was a farm out in Unionville. And some of the first generation Irish people that lived in New York City, they were very unhappy that they couldn't find a true Irish style links course anywhere in New York City or the surrounding areas. So they came up to Unionville. They came up to Taconic, the Bronx River Parkway, the Taconic. I believe they're the oldest parkways in the United States.
Yeah.
So they came, talk about the history. Right?
I know.
They came up to Taconic and they found this piece of land and they turned it into their private heaven, a little slice of Ireland with a true link style golf course. And it's since become semi-private, where you can have a membership, but it is open to the public. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, for anybody that plays golf, a link style course is like the toughest course you can play because there's so much rough and, very narrow fairways. And you tend to lose, a ton of balls, throughout the day. And the course was even tougher when it first opened. And over the years, they've made it a little bit easier, but still extremely difficult. But I mean, everything there is awesome. The food, the beverages.
Yeah.
You couldn't find the views. It's spectacular.
I know. I mean, people have asked me for years if I'm going to learn to play. And at this point in my life, probably not is the fair answer, the honest answer. But I do love my role at the golf outing because I get there early and I get to my team and I, greet the people coming in and registering and getting their day started. And then really throughout the day, it's mostly about interacting with players when they're coming in and, throughout the day as they're kind of rolling around on their carts and trying not to interrupt people mid swing because I've been known to do that. So I try very hard not to do that. But the other thing is just sometimes taking a moment and just recognizing this beautiful place that we live and what's available to us. We happen to have a gorgeous day. It started off rainy this year, but it was pouring when I left my house. And by the time we got there, it was clearing. And then it ended up just
Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that
windy,
amazing?
But it was an amazing day. It was beautiful.
And if I kind of forgot about that, Eliza, but like as late as like 5 p.m. the day before, the forecast was not good.
No, it was not.
It truly was a miracle. It really was. It turned into a spectacular day. It wasn't too hot. It was like in the mid 70s, no humidity. You couldn't have had a better day to play golf.
Well, I think that's a combination of Anderson and Oldies 98.9. We brought the mojo and we made it happen.
Definitely.
It was really, really spectacular.
We seem to do that a lot when we partner on events. We've done, as we've done wine cruises in the past. We've done dinner dances.
Yes.
Yeah. And it always seems to work out weather-wise and things like that. Yeah.
Well, I think that's definitely cause to remind our listeners that whenever you see an event that's involving Oldies 98.9 and Sunrise Media and Anderson Center for Autism, obviously it's a must-go event because we know how to put them on together for sure.
Absolutely. What you guys do at the golf outing, your staff, you cannot turn around and 5 feet away is not what you need. Whether it's a hot dog, whether it's a beer, whether it's a towel, it's just amazing.
We've got you covered. Well, I think I hear a lot of feedback from people who play and who come to that event. And what we hear consistently, similar to what you said, is that when you're at an Anderson event, because there's usually something that's a little unique in terms of involving some of the people we serve. Families are there, trustees are there, staff are there. There's a personalization where it's not just another outing. You really know that you're at an Anderson event, and I think that you guys have always really recognized that and tried to create sponsorships that are creative and fun and also are a little bit outside the norm. So we appreciate you guys so much for that reason. And I also want to ask you just because we have a couple more minutes, and I think it'd be great to know a little bit more about you, Rob. How long have you been, where you are now, but how long have you also been in the industry, the radio world?
Put it this way, Eliza, I'm at the point where I cap it at 30 years.
Oh, really? You just don't go further.
No, when you're younger, you kind of exaggerate and inflate your experience.
Yeah.
As you get older, it's kind of like, as you said, a round number. Like 25 years in the business is a nice round number.
Yeah. Well, your experience.
As I tell my kids and friends, I have 2 little grandchildren. As a matter of fact, today is can I give a shout out?
Yes.
It's my granddaughter, Blake Farris. It's her 6th birthday.
Happy birthday, Blake. That is so exciting.
And I have to mention my grandson, Smith Farris, who will turn 4 on August 31st.
Well, happy almost birthday to Smith. And also very cool names.
Thank you. But as I like to tell people, what made me think of that was I'm a very young grandfather. We started very early.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you do it, honestly. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you. And I think you know where they're spending the day today? This at Splashdown Beach. And I think you guys have brought students there.
We bring a lot of students there. Obviously, COVID shut so much stuff down, but that was always a favorite place. And actually, I have a very fond story about Splashdown. Not only does Anderson take a lot of students, and our adult program goes there as well, because it's a great water park. I've brought my own family there for many years. The kids love it. But there's a particular family who have been at Anderson for many years. Their son started here when he was about 10, and he is now a member of our adult program. So the family is really connected to Anderson for the long haul now. And this young guy, he had a lot of challenges. He had a lot of behaviors that were really concerning and very difficult, both for his family and for him, obviously, and for the staff here at Anderson. One of the things that he did a lot of was, for a period of time, was hit his head, which is called self-injurious behavior. And it can be so scary because of the potential damage that can be done. And it's also just scary to watch, and I'm sure frightening and disturbing as a parent. His parents never once accepted any comment that would be made anywhere about the fact that their son couldn't go out in the community, couldn't enjoy his life, couldn't have a quality of life. I spent time with them at various appointments over the years when I had different roles here at Anderson. We're not Anderson people, but other professionals in the field would sort of assess him and give them just dire news about his future. One of the places that his parents took him repeatedly was Splashdown Park. And they flew in the face of these people who were saying that he just could never really be out in the community safely. And I have picture upon picture upon picture that his father would send me, several of us, of him, both of them in the water together. This young man loves the water, always loved the water. And it was just such a great testament to both our community, because Splashdown was always very welcoming of their whole family. I don't think he was ever asked to leave. The family, these parents were so engaged in his life, and just, I think, probably still do take him there. Even now that he's
I have a question.
And it just reminds me of it was just such a positive experience. Go ahead.
No, the question I have, based on what you just said, it's very interesting, because it sounds like the student kind of found his happy place at Splashdown Beach.
Yeah.
And do you find that with the students, that all of a sudden there's a place or an activity that clicks with them?
A lot, just like any of us. There's so many more similarities between human beings than there are differences. I think that's an important thing, an important reminder. Yeah. Whether it's swimming, art, music, athletics, reading, acting, singing, dancing. I mean, everybody, including all the people we serve, certainly have something that is going to be soothing to them and making them feel good. And that's one of the main things that we do. I think that's a great way to end today, because that is a great way that we and our supporters and our sponsors, such as yourselves, can all do things that optimize the quality of life for people with autism, is to remember people first. And so keep interacting and keep being welcoming and kind and understanding as that person finds they're a happy place. And I think that
You
the
know,
world would be
Liza,
a better place if we all did that, Rob.
No, you just said a phrase that I'm going to actually use in my next sales meeting. People first. Because I think no matter what your business, no matter what your organization, no matter where you work, if you kind of live that motto, people first, I think it's going to lead to success. So that's a great point.
And we have to end, but that's a great way to end today's discussion. You guys have always approached us that way. We look forward to a continued long partnership with you, Rob, and Oldies 98.9 and everyone at the Sunrise Media family. It's just been a fantastic run, and we look forward, of course, to next year's golf outing, but to lots of other fun things in between now and then. So thank you so much for your sponsorship, and thank you for helping us do what we do, which is to optimize the quality of life for people with autism. This is 1 in 44, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 44, a weekly presentation of the Anderson Center for Autism. Join us for another edition of the show at this time next weekend.